On the 17th of June 2021, a Ford Ranger idled under some trees just a short distance from an ancient garage in Hazyview. The driver, casually chatting with the few men beside the buggy, had no idea that death was just seconds away. Suddenly, a black VW Polo pulled up beside them. 3 suspects jumped out the Polo and unleashed a hail of shots that tore through the buggy. The men standing nearby scattered, fleeing for their lives, but the driver was trapped. 17 shots riddled the vehicle, leaving no chance of escape. Amid the chaos, a stray bullet struck an elderly woman, but miraculously she survived. But the driver, known as Mshengu aka Mr. Big, wasn't so fortunate. The gunfire stopped as quickly as it began and the assailants, calm and deliberate, approached the buggy, seemingly searching for something. Those watching from a safe distance speculated that they were looking for money or dope. After seizing a parcel, the suspects jumped back into the Polo after it hit a sharp U-turn and sped off in the same direction it came from. Now to this day, no arrests have been made. The case remains a chilling mystery, a puzzle with too many pieces and no clear picture. Those who knew Mshengu, a notorious Rhino poaching Kingpin, say it's impossible to determine why he was targeted. His list of enemies was endless due to his involvement in shady businesses. But one thing is certain, this was a hit. In this episode, we'll delve into the life of a man whose empire was built on blood, betrayal, and a ruthless determination to stay on top until the final shot was fired. To some, he was the epitome of a villain, a gangster, a poaching kingpin, and a ruthless criminal. But to others, he was more complex, a mastermind who cared for those in his inner circle, a kind criminal who earned their loyalty and respect. They called him by his clan name Mshengu as a sign of reverence and acknowledgement of his influence. Mshengu thrived in the underworld, building a fortune through illegal means. He was rumored to have police officers in his payroll bending the law in his will. He wasn't shy about flaunting his wealth and would sometimes donate to charity. He owned expensive houses and was whispered to fund and command cash in transit hastes, living a life of danger and calculated risk. But Mshengu didn't start at the top. He began on the street corners, gambling in dice games. From those humble beginnings, he climbed into more serious and sinister enterprises. He became a loan shark, and later he would seize people's homes and cars whenever debts weren't paid. In the taxi industry, he was a formidable force, a bully who would finance a new taxi, but you'd pay him back for life. Now Mshengu's dark side was marked with excess and decadence. His parties were legendary. Illegal parties where entire streets would be blocked off. At times there would be naked women dancing on tables, expensive booze flowing like water, all kinds of dope including Class A off-white powder handed out freely. Armed guards with heavy artillery stood watch at the entrance, allowing only top dogs to enter. Sometimes these parties were more than just celebrations. When one of his poachers took out a rival, Mabuza would throw a party to celebrate. Now rival gangs were ambushed as they exited the Kruger National Park. They would be taken out and their poached rhino horns would be stolen. You see, his gang was ruthless and the rules were simple. Once you were in their game, there was no getting out. If you tried to leave, you'll pay the ultimate price. Mr. Big's rise to infamy was fueled by his ruthless rhino poaching empire. In the Kruger National Park, home of the world's largest rhino population, he exploited the demand for rhino horn, driven by the myths for its medical power in Asia. As rhino numbers plummeted in the 2010s, Mr. Big's heavily armed syndicate waged war against the park's dwindling rhinos. Now, despite the anti-poaching efforts, the crisis continued, entangled in a web of corruption involving judges and judicial officers, poverty in nearby communities that left young people unemployed and desperate, and a powerful criminal network exploiting all of these elements.
He's got policemen in his pocket because he's got money. He's got people from KNP in his pocket because he's got money. He's got people here working for him because he's got money. That's why I said we cannot afford for people to drive around and sit around because something suspicious and they phone. Done, it's over, it's gone.
In 2018, 3 poachers shot 4 white rhinos in Kruger National Park, stealing 7 horns but leaving the 8th behind, fearing it had a transmitter. The next day, notorious poachers known to work for Mshengu were seen cleaning the stolen horns at one of his properties. When the Hawks Tactical Unit, assisted by a helicopter, raided the property, Mshengu delayed their entry while the poachers hid the horns in a red cooler box and escaped over a wall using a ladder. Eventually, 6 horns were discovered by the police, matching those taken from the rhinos the previous day. Now, even while imprisoned in Nelspruit, Mabuza remained influential, with officers saluting him as he walked through the cells. His influence extended across Mpumalanga, with SAPS officials vying to assist him, knowing he rewarded them in some way. Now Mabuza was granted bail of 250,000 rands, 30,000 less than what he had paid for 2 horns in that case.
Nyala will come in, push that gate down, and then there will be assault on foot, an urban assault on foot. You need to cover 2 entrances. This is the main suspect. Send it around.
One of the biggest problems is the justice system. Eric Nzimande, who was court president, was being accused of giving special jobs to people who paid him money because he had a gambling problem. Now this led to a group of judges and court officials who were making deals with criminals instead of punishing them. In northern KZN and Kruger National Park, this corruption allowed poachers to continue their illegal activities without really getting punished. The same system that should protect people and the law is falling apart because these dishonest actions are being allowed to happen.
On a balance of probability that there are exceptional circumstances which in the interest of justice justify his release on bail, and therefore the court orders that the bail application is granted with regard to all 6 applicants.
The defense welcomed the court's decision.
We have been battling for this bail application for almost 2 months now, but the court has even said the state case is not so strong to our client.
For years, Leroy patrolled South African parks and game reserves investigating rhino poachers, including corrupt police officers. As a commander of an organized crime investigating unit in Mpumalanga province, he was recognized as the unit's best detective in 2016 for successfully helping to prosecute 3 police officers involved in rhino poaching in 2014. Now these officers were later found guilty and dismissed. Now Leroy also led a high-profile investigation into Petras Mshengu Mabuza, and his testimony in the case attracted widespread attention. While driving to work in Mbombela, Leroy was 49 years at the time. He was shot and taken out by gunmen using what appeared to be heavy caliber sticks.
The court was packed to capacity, supporting alleged rhino poaching kingpins Joseph Nyalungo and Petras Mabuza, as well as 5 police officers, including a former Skukuza station commander, his son, a former police officer. They were arrested during a joint operation by the Hawks and SARS last week, and properties worth millions were seized. They are believed to be part of a huge rhino poaching syndicate. The lawyers accused SANParks of meddling in the justice matters. This following SANParks complained that a certain magistrate is sympathetic to suspected rhino poachers. They wanted a resident magistrate to preside over the bail hearing, and the suspect's supporters are also concerned.
Unfair ngoba la magistrate semlungu manje bonke labantu baphethe le case le belungu bodwa.
CCTV footage from a nearby building captured his execution. It shows a group of men getting out of a black VW Polo. Some people who are standing by Mabuza's car are seen running away as the gunmen start shooting. The video shows the assailants spending time at Mabuza's bakkie before fleeing the scene. People close to the situation, they believe that the assailants were looking for dope or cash inside the vehicle. Now Mabuza was rushed to Kiat Private Hospital in Mbombela, where he succumbed to his wounds.
He is hailed as the godfather of Hazyview for all his criminal activities, not just rhino poaching. And a lot of young people have been inundating the Saving the Wild Facebook page, referring to him as a hero and threatening to kill more rhinos. This is by no means representative of the majority of South Africa. Majority of the people want to save the rhino. They want to protect their natural heritage. Unfortunately, the problem here is the government. The president has absolutely no idea what is going on with the rhino crisis. The cesspit of corruption that is driving rhinos into extinction in Kruger is exactly the same issue we have in Zululand. The law is not acting as a deterrent. These criminals are invincible, and it seems the only way that they can be stopped is through street justice. And that is very, very sad.
Mshengu was laid to rest on the 27th of June, surrounded by hundreds of loved ones and admirers under heavy police presence. The police were on high alert for potential violence before and during the funeral, but it remained peaceful, likely due to the large presence of the cops. Now Mshengu's casket arrived at the funeral by a helicopter.
kunyentile ngakupita ngako lingaphuma ilanga lishone liphindze libuye litongishaya ngemuva emhlane ngisho wena Mabuza longathathi nabo Shabalala Mshengu Gininza Mavuso Mhlangadlambini Inkosi Nhlabathi kanye nabakwamagudulela liphe indlebe yakho ngikubekele kahle indzaba ungathathi nabo Gininza ngiyathemba indlebe yakho tiyangiva nangikhuluma konke ngisho wena Mabuza longateki Shabalala bantwana balutfo ngasigcina